Les, whatever I make up about Muppets in Space, just go with it.
Oh,
It's the one where they introduced the blackface Muppet.
Oh, God.
Jesus. It's from Arrested Development. It's
Like, prove I'm wrong. Yes.
God, what's his name? Is it Reggie?
I think it is Reggie.
Yeah.
It's like the John Oliver bit, like, and this is the nation of Georgia. I'm just fucking with you. This is the nation of you don't know.
You don't even know.
And none of you will Google it.
Episode 355 of the TV Dudes, recorded October 20th, 2021. Falsely Accused. This week, we have a number of characters who have been falsely accused. There are the accusations of alien infiltration, teenage rebellion, and more in Just Beyond on Disney+. There's the falsely accused murderess and possibly falsely accused journalist on Guilty Party on Paramount+. There are the false accusations endemic to the weird latent criminal system in Psychopaths on Hulu. And there might just be false accusations, so we talk about the final episodes of Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2 on Paramount+, and the finale of Only Murders in the Building on Hulu. But that might be spoiling things. So before we get to all that, I'm Randy.
I'm Les.
I'm latent criminal Nick.
And we're the TV Dudes. Are you a latent criminal?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
He's our enforcer.
I honestly don't know what their standards are, but I'm pretty sure, like, psychologically, if you were to have a color or whatever, mine would be a blinking red light.
A lot of, and we'll get into it. I have many questions about how the world works.
We'll talk about it more when we get to Psychopaths, but I feel like everyone's a latent criminal. If you just broaden it far enough, everyone's a latent criminal.
Oh my god, yeah.
Even Mr. Rogers, I believe, could slip.
Sure, you just caught him on the wrong day. But his Psychopaths is usually pretty good.
All right, before we get to crazy anime and everything else we're talking about,
King of Make Believe, though, he's a fucking psycho.
That guy, yeah.
Let's go and do our TV diaries.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
Les, why don't you start us off this week?
All right. I've continued to watch a bunch of Parks and Rec when Guilty Party. Well, we'll get into it. I palate cleansed with Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Stargirl has continued to be dark as hell. I mean, obviously within the envelope bounds of what Stargirl's going to bear tone-wise, but their Eclipso season is dark, and it's been really good. What We Do in the Shadows has continued to be hysterically funny. This week's episode was just awesome. I loved the vampire spa exercise cult.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Friggin' great.
Yep.
Especially how all that wrapped up. AHS, I honestly thought that the vampire off-season Coastal Town was my favorite season they've done so far, and was sad to see it end. It was like, I don't want another half a season, a different thing. I fucking love the weird 50s alien AHS. Neil McDonough as Ike is so good. I love it.
Nice.
Lower Decks has been great. I have all of Night Court, so even though it is still for some reason not available without buying it episode by episode, I have a bunch of Night Court, and so I've been watching that. Movies That Made Us, which continue to be funny. Fanny decided that she wanted to try to watch Midsummer after giving me the incredibly beautiful hardcover script for Hereditary. A24 does these published scripts.
Oh, wow.
They're fucking awesome looking. They really are, like, class act looking. But she was pretty sure she couldn't make it through Hereditary. But Midsummer is so brightly lit that it becomes about its themes and such, and less jump scares. And so with her asking me at the start of it to, like, she doesn't want to be surprised by anything, spoil everything as we go, which is a weird way to watch something. To be the other person that's like, am I spoiling it enough for you?
Is Chidi gonna make it to the good place? I don't know why he's here.
Right? Oh, she goes like, I hate him. Like, well, if it does it, you want to know if he doesn't come through it okay, right? Like, fucking nobody comes through this okay.
He's a black dude in a fucking Eastern European country. What the fuck do you think?
It's like it was also great watching Midsummer with somebody like obviously this movie, Ari Aster in general, caused a huge split in the horror community with like, is this horror? Is this not horror? A24 just rode that wave, and it was awesome watching Midsummer with somebody who has no horror movie background. So none of the like, well, obviously that person's fucked. They did one of the sins in a horror movie that gets you killed. Like she didn't know any of these rules, and it was absolutely awesome. Like, is that person gonna be okay? And like again, this is a folk horror movie. They fucked up when they came here. Everybody dies. I mean, that's not exactly true, but like, oh no no no, welcome to horror movies. They're doomed. Don't worry about it. I know you hate these people, but they're fucked. Speaking of bad people getting absolutely fucked, Leverage Redemption came back on IMDb Pro, or I'm not IMDb Pro, IMDb TV. Yeah, those have been great. Hardison is obviously Aldous Hodge is busy doing Black Adam, so he did not come back, nor did Timothy Hutton. But everybody else is back, and it's super fun. Really enjoyed it. Noah Wiley, who is just under contract for these types of shows, I guess. He's there, and it's great.
Nice.
Yeah, that's always a little sad when I see the cast come back for a show, and then you obviously see who's got better stuff to do.
Yeah, yeah.
That's always just a
Like
little
you
sad.
can see, you can go Google photos of like Hardison now. Like you can see that dude had his like movie trainer come in.
Oh yeah, I mean he
He's
was
like
amazing
twice
in
as big a human being, and now
he was amazing in Invisible Man, and he's
Mhm.
playing Hawkman for God's sake. Yeah.
yeah, Hardison's like way too ripped to be their nerd hacker at this point.
I did not get a chance to watch a ton of TV this week, but I did catch the first 3 episodes of Just Beyond for the homework. 7 episodes of Psycho-Pass, which is more than I expected to watch. I watched the 3rd episode of Acapulco, which I continue to think the framing sequence is like unnecessary and gross, but the actual show is very sweet and I kind of
Mhm.
like it. And so
Yeah.
I'm going to keep watching it. Watched Edward Scissorhands for the first time ever,
Oh, really?
and it was okay. I am a mild Tim Burton fan, so I think I didn't love it. It is weird to see who's the bully?
Anthony Edwards. No, Anthony Michael Hall.
Anthony Michael Hall, yeah. From like I'm used to him from Weird Science and Breakfast Club, and here he is still kind of that dude. Like he still looks like the nerd, but he's playing the jock, and it weirded me the fuck out. And it's like he's like a psycho jock too. He shows up with a gun.
And at that time, I don't think we'd seen him in anything. Like there had been a gap in his career where like he had jumped a few years in teen growth or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and I remember when Edward Scissorhands came out that we were all like, that can't seriously be the kid from Weird Science. Like that can't be him. And without the
Yeah.
internet, we've gotten huge arguments over it.
Yeah.
The movies that made us had a great Tim Burton thing with the Nightmare Before Christmas. They were talking about like the Disney animators were like, that dude was so fucking weird when he worked here.
Yeah, that man, there was so many great stories in that one. That was one of my favorites. And then I watched Megan has got me she's trying to get me to the end of Glee. She's like, yeah, we're gonna have to get some stupid crap to get to it, but I want you to see the ending. So we were in season 5 when they brought in Jesse from Pitch Perfect, aka Max from Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, aka New Greg from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, as one of the leaders of the other acapella groups. I always enjoy that guy, so that's kind of fun. Glee is it's gloriously dumb at this point, and it's sometimes mean. I mean, I like Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk, but in ways, Glee is meaner and crueler than American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Well, American Horror Story is like you're in on the joke, and Glee is kind of like, are we joking here?
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, I'm burning through it. I got about, I guess, 20 episodes left of the whole series, and we're going to burn through the rest of it. So a couple episodes at a time. I might get through it before 2022 ends. And that's all I had to watch. What about you, Nick?
Oh, well, let's see. I watched Halloween Kills when it dropped on Peacock.
Yep.
Or was it Paramount? No, it was Peacock.
And your take?
It was pretty terrible, actually.
Really? Because both my managers at the store really enjoyed it.
Well, they're dumbasses. But I honestly don't know what they are, their taste. But the writing in it is so terrible. It's basically a 4th act for the previous movie. It has no structural integrity. Jamie Lee Curtis never interacts with Michael Myers. She spends the entire time in the hospital just to collect her check. and the dialogue is so piss poor. I actually went back and watched some of the original one, and I was like, oh yeah, you really need Donald Pleasance to sell some of this stuff. To yell at, like, the evil is gone from here. But they start to say, like, evil dies tonight as they chant this in the mob as they go
Yes.
after.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. I was like, stop trying to make fetch a thing, man. Fetch isn't gonna happen. And one of the guys, after they kill someone that wasn't Michael Myers, they look up at the crowd and literally say, "We're the monsters now." You should be goddamn ashamed of yourself. That is embarrassing. Who fucking wrote this movie? Was exactly what I was worried Joseph Gordon-Green and Danny McBride were going to make for the first movie. It's one of those situations.
David Gordon.
What was that?
David Gordon.
David Gordon-Green?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. David Gordon-Levitt. Wait, now I'm doing it. David Gordon-Green. Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Whatever that three-named psycho is.
Yes. David Gordon-Green.
It made me not look forward to the Halloween ends or whatever, because basically this is a big middle of a movie. It doesn't have an ending, it doesn't have a beginning, and everyone in it is so goddamn stupid. And I know, like, no, you don't realize, like, no, really fucking dumb. Like, you don't feel like Michael earns any of these kills. They all but run into his knife.
I mean, he's never had a job.
Yeah. Yes. I watched The Trip on Les's recommendation, because that was one of the things he watched at Fantastic Fest, which was very weird, very much a Les movie. I was like, okay, yeah, I get this. And
not in the sense that it's terrible and I found the one good thing about it, just in the sense that it's brutal and weird and just keeps going in odd directions.
It is a dark comedy, emphasis on the dark.
Yes.
There's a point in the second act where I'm like, whoa, this movie is getting a lot rapier than I thought it would. And
yeah, it was fantastic. That tends to be a theme in their movies.
Also, the same thing with Bingo Hell I watched, since I had fun with The Trip. And then I was with Les's recommendation for Bingo Hell, and I was like, oh, this makes more sense. This is a good idea that is not executed very well. And
so much blood and goo, though.
Yeah, and it has a great elderly Hispanic woman that has a police baton for some reason that she just flips out to break and enter. And she cuts herself, just like, what was it, Ryan in The Nice Guys? What's his name? Fuck.
Gosling.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, like, I love that when people, like, actually, like, cut themselves immediately when they try and do that. I still think it's funny.
Like, breaks in there's a scene where she breaks in a window and tries to reach through and undo the lock, and she just like, if you've seen movies before, you're like, don't do that, don't do that, don't. Okay, here we go. You just slice your arm open. Oh fuck.
I kept up on Reincarnated as a Slime and Movies That Made Us for the Halloween stuff. Let's see what else. What We Do in the Shadows was I really enjoyed. I sometimes I forget how, like, because they go in between a couple episodes with Guillermo being a badass, so that like when it happens again, I was like, oh right, he can totally kill like a room full of 20 vampires like no problem.
Right.
He's their Deus Ex Machina. Like, whenever they get into a situation, he can just get them out of it.
If they'll just listen to him. Like, I love that it always comes down to him just having to scream it like for a third time.
Yeah.
Like, cover your fucking face. I did want him to kill everybody. I mean, they got taken care of, but I was really surprised that all he did was kind of lightly burn them and run. It's a room full of fangless vampires. I really figured he was about to go to town.
Maybe that's why he didn't consider them much of a threat.
One of my favorite things, honestly, was the bit at the end where it's revealed that the jazzercising vampire was kind of a con artist.
Mm-hmm.
Where basically she's like, go out to the sun, and she just stays by the door. They all burn, and she's like, well, shit. Now I gotta go redo something new.
Yep. Back to the drawing board. Yeah, she bats away.
Watched Lower Decks, and then I watched Jason X because Les and I had a great conversation about the Friday the 13th franchise for some reason. I don't remember why, but it was one of those moments, you know, when you have one of those moments where a relationship just deepens all of a sudden based off of one thing. And our mutual love of Jason X was like Oh, with this, I thought to myself, what does Randy ever regret bringing on another Les onto the podcast?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I mean, as with all Jason X discussions, it began in a moment in the conversation where I think me or one of us said in a hushed tone, "Okay, I actually liked Jason X," and then the other person went, "Oh shit, you're the other person."
Jason,
Like, actually, it's you, it's me, and then there was this one drunk guy at a party that I ran into one time in college who just wouldn't quit fucking talking about Jason X. We're the three.
I legit think Jason X is the best Friday the 13th movie. Unironically, I actually do think that it actually has an idea behind it and like executes it pretty well.
College students in space. It's just it's wonderful. Now, if only they'd followed through with that drunk kid's idea.
Okay, how about Jason's at a space camp? Like, oh, okay, some kids, going to space. No. Like, it's a camp in space. Oh, okay. Well, that's going to be a different budget.
Moon-based Crystal Lake. I can't remember if that's actually what they do, but
I watched Free Guy on Randy's recommendation. It finally was available for rent on Amazon Prime. Very good movie. Very funny.
I really enjoyed Free Guy.
It also has a pretty interesting conversation to be had about AI and the idea of when is something alive as far as going outside of a program, of how much free will do you have before you are considered like a person and alive.
Yeah, that's one of the things I liked about Free Guy, and we should maybe talk a little bit on the Patreon about it. But it had more to say than just being a doofy Ryan Reynolds movie. I was kind of surprised.
It was shocking. Like, oh, actually, this is a pretty good message behind this. This is actually pretty interesting. And of course, Channing Tatum comes in and steals the movie from Ryan Reynolds. That is impressive. He just steals it from him for 5 minutes.
There's something about good-looking guys being in on the joke. Like John Hamm can do it too. It's like, oh, you get it. You're this good-looking guy, and so you can just play these total weirdos, and it's funny.
Like he can, you realize he can do whatever he wants and get away with it.
Yep. And I kind of hate him for it because he's already a good-looking dude. He's got enough, but no, he's also funny.
No, it's. I mean, it's how Peacemaker could possibly work. It's because John Cena's got that same thing going, and it's how 21 Jump Street worked.
Yeah, there's just a level of like, I appreciate you not doing the whole like Vin Diesel, I can only lose how many fights in a fucking Fast and the Furious movie in the contract.
Yeah.
No, I'm down for whatever you think is funny, I'm down for it. You want me to hit that pie in the face? I will fucking smash that pie in my face. I watched Razorbick, which, thanks to Junk Food Cinema, I can't pronounce any other way, which is a Jaws knockoff set in Australia, where they're hunting and being hunted by a razorback hog, like a warthog type thing.
Sure. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And let's see, I watched the first couple episodes of Lucifer when it came back, where he's about to become God. Like, he's not quite God yet, but he's working his way there, working up the courage to like do it. There's a great first episode back. They go to a magic show, and Lucifer loves magic, and Chloe doesn't like understand. Like, wait, don't you know like it's all bullshit? Like, yeah, but it's the ultimate deception. I love that. And he hates, like, they have to solve a crime there, and he hates it because they have to go behind the scenes and figure out a bunch of these tricks. And he's like, no. And he keeps holding his ears. No, I don't want to know how they work. I don't know. You're gonna ruin the magic for me. And and Chloe keeps trying to ruin it for him. Oh, well, I bet you he's doing... Stop it. Stop, that's not why we're here. And then I watched the first 2 episodes of Young Justice that dropped. Young Justice Phantoms.
That snuck past me. Well, I mean, partly I was trying to keep up with stuff, but yeah, they didn't even announce it. They're like, oh, by the way, Young Justice is back, and it's on right now. Like, they've never... That's a crazy Netflix thing to do. Yeah, it was really weird. The first 2 episodes back are pretty weird, too. They don't really focus on the team very much, or at least the team I think we're going to see. It's basically about Superboy and Miss Martian's wedding on Mars. Interesting. Okay. All right.
They show, like, because most continuities in DC, the Martian Manhunter is like the last Martian or whatever. And in Young Justice, Mars is a fully functioning society with a bunch of telepathic shapeshifting people.
Right.
So you got you finally get to see some of it in these episodes, and I thought like that was really neat to see some of the youngins like human TV so much, and then they shapeshift into them. You know how you wear a T-shirt of your favorite show? Well, they do
Yeah.
that, but it's like wearing a person's skin.
Well, that sounds creepy.
It sounds pretty creepy, but like Superboy has a bunch of like himself coming up, like, oh, you're the real Superboy, and yeah, like there's a bunch of old fogies that are like, these youngins, they're ruining Mars tradition with their Earther fucking ways. And there's a whole metaphor for racism, and there's actually red Martians, which I didn't know, and yellow Martians. So there's like a whole rainbow of Martians, I guess. But yeah, that's my TV
Didn't know
diaries.
that.
All right. Then it's time for our regular segment, which this week people get two because we're talking about anime. But let's talk about Truth is Stranger Than Fan Fiction.
Imagine, if you will, a reality containing television programs so bizarre they are indistinguishable from the ravings of a madman. Is the show you are about to hear simply a fabrication in the mind of a man with clearly nothing better to do with his time? Or is the truth indeed stranger than fan fiction?
Well, it's not always anime, guys. Like last week, it was not.
That's true. Oh, but Mandy wanted you to know that she did pick it out, even though it wasn't anime, within the first minute.
Oh, Mandy knew what blood drive was? Color me
Yep.
shocked.
Shocked.
I'm shocked to find gambling in this establishment. Okay, I think it's Randy, I think it's your turn.
I believe that's correct, yes.
All right, your letters are S and U.
I'm going to go with you.
Really would have wished that was an F and U, but well. Okay. All right, this show is about a guy who is working at a McDonald's. It's not a McDonald's. It's one letter different, so that avoids the copyright, apparently.
See, they got the Big Mac. We got the Big
We got
Mick.
the Big Mick. It's exactly what
Golden
I thought.
arches, golden arcs,
Our buns, they have no seeds.
no seed.
See, I knew you guys would be like, because this is exactly what I thought when I was watching. I was like, oh, okay, it's McDowell's. I got this.
Nick, is it coming to America?
It's not
Is
Coming
that
to
what you're
America.
Okay, all right.
It's the anime based off of Coming to America.
Oh, Jesus.
Boy, that would be pretty weird to see, wouldn't it?
Uh-huh. Yep. I'd watch it. I'm not gonna lie, I'd probably watch that.
Yeah, he's trying to learn how to use the fryer. He is he's going for this assistant management job. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, he's Satan.
Right, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, he's Satan. Apparently, Satan was in another world where all the angels and demons, I guess, exist. Fled to our world where there's not a whole lot of magic, so he's gotta work his way up in this society, and he feels, and money apparently is the way he feels to work up in the society, so he's obsessed with becoming the assistant manager of McDonald's, because that will help him in his in his quest to subjugate this world. And it's pretty funny, like they spend like the first episode really just going like, we need to go and get health insurance and ID, and it's the we got to acquire money. Money is the power of this world. We must acquire it. And they buy a bike, and when he rides it, he yells, "Onward, my mechanical horse!"
Sure, like you do.
Okay, that's pretty great.
I feel like I want to do that now anytime I ride it. Like, "Onward, my mechanical horse" should be kind of a thing. Like, we should definitely start it.
You think we should start closing out the podcast with instead of TV Dudes Out, we'll start yelling "Onward, my mechanical horse"?
Upon my mechanical horse, yeah! And yes, this was a sound investment for my eventual comeback as the Lord of all demons. He's got a roommate with one of his lower demons that came with him, and he takes care of finances and stuff. And it's like, oh well, we don't have to spend money on food. We get a bunch of free stuff from McDonald's. And he's like, what is this, supersize me? Fuck you. We can't We can't subsist on fast food for our entirety of our lives.
And we're sure this isn't coming to America.
No, we're
He
positive
wasn't
it isn't.
Satan, right? He wasn't Satan. I don't think. It's been a while since I saw the original Coming to America, but I don't think he was Satan.
That would have been a pretty good twist by the end of it.
And I haven't done the movies that made us. Maybe that was an early draft.
Yeah, he actually runs into an old friend of his, or an old enemy of his, one of the heroes that defeated him back in the old world and forced him to flee. Actually followed him here in order to take him out, but she's been watching him and he's been living like a normal life and not really doing any evil shit, so she feels kind of conflicted about whether or not to kill him. Like, well, he's being pretty normal. I don't know. They think like maybe the human world is affected him in some way, and then suddenly they get shot at, and they're like, "What the? Did you do that? I'm on a bike. What do you fucking think? No, I don't have a gun." And so there's a conspiracy as to they think there's another person from their side of things that is out there to get them both, and it turns out that they're right, and it's Lucifer, which confused me just for a second because I was like, wait a minute, Lucifer is not Satan, Lucifer is a different thing, and apparently he is, and he's a little boy, like even younger than the other two, very gothy, with like black, feathered wings, and which makes me think, is Beelzebub like a wholly different, like, are all the different names for Satan's like just different people? And yeah, the I like that the demons get in trouble and they actually get into jail one time and they ask the hero to come bail them out. Wait, why am I your emergency contact? We don't know anyone else. So why did you cause trouble for me? Well, that's kind of our jobs as demons, is to cause trouble for you. So,
Oh, that would make total sense. Like, I know you'll answer.
yeah.
You have to come help me.
And you gotta come help me, so you schmuck. And then they have a landlady that is very disturbing. I wrote down one of her lines here. That's one of my favorite. They're talking about some of the drama between the hero and the demon. She says, "This drama is syrupy enough to cause the diabetes." And she almost does sound like Wilford Brimley. I'm like, is she doing a bit? This is insane. So I love the dramatic. I think the demons, they are able to be killed, but they don't seem to treat it very like it's very a big deal. Like his servant like gets shot, and right after realizing how much money this guy has spent on going to the movies, and on his deathbed he's like, "Sir, if you just go on the first of the month, it's half off." And like it almost dies. And of course our guy Satan is like, "You're gonna make it, so don't tell me what to do, you fucker." Like, yes. And the hero doesn't know, like, what why aren't you taking this seriously? We're all about to die. And yeah, that's I haven't finished it yet, but it involves more people from the hero side of things, a double cross from a priest that was very easy to see coming. He wore a hood and veiled his face and wore purple. Definitely a fucking villain. And yeah, I'm actually looking forward to watching more of this. I was like, most of these I don't continue watching after a certain point, but I think I'm going to finish this and Blood Drive. So guys, is this did I have fast food for the first time in like a year and a half, and it struck in me the sin within my body, and now I had to make a story out of it? Or is the truth indeed stranger than fanfiction?
I think you made this up.
Okay.
I think this is real.
Any particular reason why?
No, I there's something about I like the notion that you just had like McDonald's, and then this all sprung fully formed like Hera from Zeus's forehead, and sprung out to us. So that's what I'm hoping it's fake.
I know there are 2 or 3 Adult Swim-ish Satan comes to Earth and does weird rando shit, or Satan's kid comes to Earth, or whatever
Sure.
shows. And I'm sure there are probably then, a corresponding 24 Funimation versions. I feel like this is real, and I just can't place the name of it. If not, you should just make this because it blends.
Well, after like Lucifer solves detectives helps the LAPD solve murders in LA. It's like, well, I guess Satan can do whatever he wants now.
Yeah.
Could even be a sword.
And yeah, like that's what I forgot to mention is that that McReynolds, it's a sword.
No, but is it real or not? You gotta tell us.
Guys, it's real.
Wait, is that a victory for me?
It's called The Devil is a Part-Timer.
Of course it is.
It's not any of the ones that I was picturing then, because that's not a title I was thinking, but that's hilarious.
And it feels very much like either McDonald's has given them the blessings or they're flirting with a lawsuit because it's so like they change one letter, all the icons are almost exactly the same. The fucking outfits are the same color. Like it really is like I don't understand copyright laws in Japan, I guess.
By the way, just not for nothing, I feel like that Fox or Netflix really missed something by not calling it Lucifer in Order.
Ooh, I like that.
All right. Well, this seems like a good time to remind you that you can support us by going over to patreon.com/tvdudes. Throw us $1 an episode. In exchange, we get to keep with our streaming services, pay for our hosting costs, and you get bonus content each week. This week, Nick and Les are going to talk about Muppets in Space, and Nick and I are possibly going to talk about Free Guy a little bit. We also have our $20 showrunner level, so if there are shows you want us to throw into the rotation, you can buy into that level, give us a couple of ideas. Want to stress, as always, futilely, that you don't have to make it anime. There's lots of live action stuff we could watch. You don't even have to make it a TMNT knockoff cartoon. It could be live action of some kind.
But it does have to be a dare of the worst show you've ever seen.
No,
right?
it doesn't. No, it does not.
No?
We should start with Power Rangers knockoffs now. Let's do Beetleborgs.
No, oh God, no, just
Beetleborgs. They hang out with like the Universal movie monsters before they change into their armor.
find a show you like that we haven't talked about and ask us to watch that show. It's very simple. This isn't a challenge. It's not a dare.
I bet the Mad Balls Toys had a show.
Oh God damn it.
I mean, I don't remember it, but I feel like there was probably a season of that somewhere.
So anyway, this week, thanks to our patron showrunner, Max, we are talking about Psycho-Pass. And gents, let's get right to our anime for the week. Let's talk about Psycho-Pass. First, I guess the quick thing is, did any of us like it? Besides Nick.
This actually wasn't bad. You have to understand, like that is some it should play Coachella level praise, like.
No, I want to insert some like operatic music in here, like.
Yeah, it's still in the wrong style. I mean, it's like. So that Parks and Rec episode where Andy Dwyer tells them all movies at Ron's house, like he just charades out entire movies.
Yeah.
Like that's entertaining, but also I would still want to see the real movie. And that's still how I feel about like anime of like, no, this is a pretty cool idea. This is a really dense future sci-fi world with some crazy Minority Report shit happening. And I still don't want it animated like this with the exposition laid out in this weird format, which is not Psycho-Pass. It seems to be an anime thing.
So this put me off pretty early. They started off with this sort of I don't understand the weird Japanese power ballad opening songs.
At least it dealt with the subject.
They're grating. They're so grating, and I just hated them.
I have thoughts that should be in my head. I can't share with anyone.
That bugged me. But then it started out, and it's like, oh, it's this cool Blade Runner looking world. I kind of like the look of it. And then I realized, oh, I'm watching anime propaganda, and I don't want to see that. And then in the first episode, they have the bad guy start raping someone, and I was just like, oh, I'm out. This is gross.
But then you watch 6 more episodes after that?
Right, you watched more than me of it. I watched 5.
I did. I got through 6 episodes. I kept waiting for for something to come together, but all it was is like, oh, so they're terrible villains.
and case of the week.
And case of the week. Like
Yeah.
I did not. Their through line is basically this whole thing about the lead young detective girl and the relationship she's trying to form with the mentor detective guy, sort of. But I'm not buying any of it.
Well, and I don't. So he's not just he wants to be a detective, but he's really a latent criminal, and so he's kind of also sort of scum
Yeah,
and can't be trusted. And I really thought the through line was going to be her recognizing that their society is unworkable and terrible.
yeah.
I think that's what they're going for. It's just happening very slowly.
It's so weird.
Yes, yeah.
Because they're in a society where they can read auras, like from
Yeah.
drones. So everybody's got an aura, and it's not just stress; it seems to be criminality.
Yeah.
I don't know. They never fully explain it.
And the best way that you can actually it's like if we just can't invent binoculars, we just invent gun scopes. Because like the best way to check anybody's criminality or aura seems to be pointing these like fucking crazy pistols, which are like geared to the person's hand, so like strangers can't pick them up or whatever. But it seems like they're all just blindly listening to the pistols reading. Because like there's a moment in episode 3 or something, or where they're in a nightclub, and it was actually a cool moment. Like somebody hacks the hollow projector, and everybody wears avatars everywhere, and so everybody's like in this club in different avatar cartoon suits, and suddenly all the avatar cartoon suits turn the same. And I was like, that is a great way to escape a future club. Like cool X-Files shit like this, or Black Mirror-y shit like this is why I'm here. But then the cops run out on the floor, and they're like, well, the only way to see through the avatar suits is to draw our pistols. And then the pistols start reading people and are like, execution allowed, or however they phrase it. And they just start shooting like they're here to catch and question like one person.
Yeah.
And instead they shoot half the fucking dance floor because and I'm like, in any given room, like if you were at a family reunion and you pulled that pistol out, now it's going to say things and you have to do them. Like, this is some devil monkey paw shit.
It reminded me, by the way, the pistols are called Dominators.
Yes.
There's some weird BDSM shit going on behind the scenes.
And even the paralyzed take them away for therapy and rehab.
Yeah.
They're clearly like pants shittingly terrified about it.
But it's like the guns are calling the shots.
Mm-hmm.
The guns are like, you shoot, and most of the people are like, okay, I shoot, and they're just like, it's like.
But luckily, we've got these investigators here to keep us in line.
It's a rare situation where the guns indeed are the problem. Like
police don't kill people; the guns literally do it.
Kill people.
No, just guns. Like they just need the people to do it for them. Like
it's a little weird. It's almost like this is almost like Magisword's level thing. It's like these guns, they might as well make them sentient. They should have their own personalities.
Well, and there's 3 seasons to this. Like, I don't know where it's going, but it's and there's a movie, I think. But yeah, it's interesting. It leans into the things that anime does well, which is like crazy tech shit, big Blade Runner cityscapes and stuff. Like, it looks cool. I was happy that the giant long like Star Trek length opening sequence at least had a song that dealt with the same subject matter as the show, even if it sounds like an Evanescence knockoff.
There's a version of this premise that's good. There's a version of this premise where it's like you said, Minority Report. It's all about the power that police have, what psychological health actually means, all this kind of stuff, like technology gone wrong. There's a version of this premise that's good, but it's not in this show.
Like immediately I was like, please tell me that there's some subplot where someone has stolen, like a rogue cop has stolen one of these guns.
Yeah.
And waits and gets a SWAT team called and then aims the gun at the SWAT team, because in those execution moments, I kept thinking, y'all have got to be as stressed or criminality or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, your auras can't be okay. Like, that where it leaned into its equilibriumness, I thought was the cool. Like you said, Randy, there's a version of this sci-fi premise that I can do, but I can't tell if I'm not catching the exploration of that theme in the dub, or if it's just not there in the show.
I think there's a problem. I'm not sure why Max picked this and Bunny Drop for you guys, because it's like the extremes of what anime doesn't really do quite right. It's like it's either minimalist, like Bunny Drop, where like they're not really talking about a lot of stuff and everything is very inferred and you have to pick up on a lot of stuff, or it's Psychopaths, where it's fucking like all they ever fucking do is talk about in metaphors about this thing. And yet somehow, like 7 episodes in, like I still have no idea how the actual fucking system works, even though most of their time is
Yeah.
spent describing it in a weird allegory or metaphor. One or more of the characters have like, they obviously think about this a lot.
Yeah, it's because it's soliloquies about it. Like, yeah. I mean, I want to make fun of Mike Flanagan, but
It's like they compare themselves to dogs and hunters and wolves. Like there's like everyone's got a weird poetic fucking thing about this. And yeah, it's Equilibrium, it's Blade Runner, and it's one of those things where like maybe it comes off different in Japanese language, maybe it comes off subtler. But yeah, they sure do talk a whole goddamn lot.
they very, very little.
Because there was like that one interesting thing of like the guy that made his brain, like he just shoved his brain in a cyborg body, and they had a conversation about like, well, how are you not a cyborg? I don't have any cyborg parts. Yeah, but your phone like it automates everything in your apartment. You can't use your car without auto logging. Their society has put all these devices into like their PDA or whatever, or a bunch of items that are like running their lives, and without those they wouldn't be able to function in society without that technology. So like his point was, well, how much you're so dependent on technology, how much of a different, rather than physiologically, depending on it, on mechanic, technology. And I thought like, oh, that's a really good, interesting theme to mess with. And then they talked about it for like way too long. And
yeah, I think the problem with this is, and we'll talk about Just Beyond in a moment as well, but there's something about seeing something that I done halfway that I have seen done all the way before.
Yeah.
And so this like this show would bring up Psychopaths brings up interesting sci-fi concepts in its episode that would be a cool Black Mirror premise, but where at least 8 times out of 10 Black Mirror knocks it out of the park. Psychopaths doesn't seem to think it through all the way for me. For example, the completely shielded buildings where the drone makers or the drone testers live.
Yeah.
And they don't have any contact with the outside world, and they're having a murder there. And that's super cool, like murder in a monastery kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
And they reveal the most interesting thing happening to me is like they're having morale issues with the workers there because they keep them from having phones or anything. And that means no diversions, or no distractions, but it also means no diversions.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're worried that they're having workers going actually like nuts over not having phones because they don't have their entertainment or anything anymore. Set up a Go game, get a deck of cards, and just Jesus Christ, tell a story. Like it as a sci-fi premise, it was cool, but it felt like a 50s sci-fi short story of like, you thought this up and can't possibly put it back to bed. Like you can't land this at all. Because like it just comes apart immediately. Like, did all of humanity forget how to entertain themselves at all?
Yeah.
Because if so, say that outright, and we have to deal with that in the show.
Yeah. I do think it's plausible. It's very plausible, but
but that didn't seem to be the concerning thing.
Yeah,
and I was like,
it's not explored
and
at all.
that just kind of kept happening. Of like, that's a cool idea. No, that's not going to be the focus of the thing. Okay, we're focusing on that.
Yeah.
For anyone listening for Patreon and whatnot, we have to do My Hero Academia just to see if these guys don't like My Hero Academia, they will like nothing.
Could we stop this then?
I feel pretty confident that I won't like My Hero Academia. So,
Really? Well, it's basically Claremont's X-Men.
I know, but it's anime.
There's the X-Men anime movies. Are those not?
Oh, those are terrible. Those are fucking awful.
We're not talking about the same thing.
X-Men. All right, let's talk about Just Beyond, which Les mentioned. That is the new. It's based on a Boom comic series, which is also made by R.L. Stine of Goosebumps fame, and this is just Twilight Zone for kids, right?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Well, like Goosebumps kind of was, but a little more Twilight Zone-y, I guess, rather than horror. I don't know.
I watched the first 3, and I found it genial, inoffensive, and basically washed over me as if nothing had happened.
Yep.
I didn't dislike it.
What a nice way to say it was boring.
I didn't feel compelled to watch it. It's not even that it's boring. It's just that like the teenage rebellion thing. I was like, man, I should be all in on this. I hate authority. I love teenage rebellion
It
stories.
was so
but,
dumbly handled, though.
yeah, and it's on the nose. Like using that Green Day song, which by the way has been in my head for the last week because it's a catchy song. But like,
I actually had to Shazam that to see if it was really Green Day or if they
Yeah.
just got some power punk cover band.
it's such a on the nose thing, and that's what this whole thing is. Like the alien thing about the kid. The kids are like, my parents are aliens. It doesn't pass the smell test because at the end they have the weird conspiracy guy waving up to him. Turns out he's an alien too, and I'm like, wait,
Well-
that doesn't track with anything he's been doing this whole time.
That's such a Goosebumps twist at the end of like, well, we're just gonna end it with this because who cares?
What if everyone's an alien and there's a space fan?
The first one doesn't pass the smell test either. Like the
Yeah.
McKenna Grace one doesn't pass the smell test either with
Yeah.
the rock music because like we have seen Stepford Wives before. We have seen disturbing behavior before.
Yeah.
Like this has been done. Like we're familiar with this plot. It's like doing Groundhog Day. Like we know the math here.
Yeah.
But then the head mistress says, "Oh, I've never had any complaints from parents." So clearly they've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
And yet it's not like it's special music. It's like any music.
Yes.
So like thank God nobody, I guess, has ever turned the car radio on picking their kid up fixed. Like, well, it's good that Susie's got her weird new 50s haircut and she's all thinking, I'm just going to turn on the stereo for a moment, listen to some Patsy Cline on the way, and your kid to the back just screaming.
Also, I thought the reveal was going to be different because they're all so obviously wearing wigs that I was like, oh, they're cutting open their brains and swapping them out or something, or doing surgery, and they're covering it up with obvious wigs. And like, cause like because they said like, it's a perm. I'm like, permanently a wig? Because that's not your fucking hair.
Yeah.
I get maybe vary up the colors of the wigs in the cafeteria, maybe, because not those 7 blondes are the exact same shade of blonde. Like, not even one strawberry blonde in the fucking group.
I will say this. I believe as a group, we are anywhere from 25 to 40 years older than the target audience.
Absolutely.
Of this show.
But I know at the age that I was the target audience for this show, though, I still would have been pissed off if they didn't tie up their loose ends on these.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. Did you guys
better.
watch? How many did you guys watch?
I only can see Les as just a smaller 40-year-old.
Yeah. I was the only kid in my grade school with sciatica. Just to steal Higgins' line. I watched the McKenna Grace one all the way through, and then I watched the Alien one until it got. I could tell it wasn't gonna land any better.
Yeah. I watched 3. Nick, did you watch any further?
I can't remember. I fell asleep through one of them, and then I woke up during one that was the monster and the roller coaster one, and I think that was like a 7 episode or something. So I got a good night's sleep in between some episodes there.
So it's possible this gets better, but I think it's very unlikely. I think it's.
I'm glad it's out there. I liked scary stuff when I was a kid, and I wouldn't have, as much as I would have torn this apart, I also would have been happy it existed. Would have assumed it.
I honestly think it could be nostalgia glasses because I have not watched Goosebumps in a long time, but I feel like Goosebumps was better than this.
Same.
Yeah.
As well as Are You
Afraid
of the Dark? Yes. Less.
Yeah.
Erie, Indiana. All of these were better.
Yeah. It's nice that there's scary stuff out there for 5-year-olds, I guess. It's just, yeah.
X-Men.
All right, let's talk about the other thing we all 3 hated this week, and that is Guilty Party over on Paramount. Paramount Plus.
Nick, I think you nailed it in the text thread of I spent the first 10 minutes wondering where they got this Kate Beckinsale double.
And I'm like, yeah, she's terrible.
That can't really be her.
Well,
Yeah.
she's doing this fucking American accent, and it is
Yeah.
distracting, because it is, 1, it's not very good, and 2, it's that American accent that's from nowhere fucking in America. Like,
Yeah.
it's not from the Midwest, it's not from the West, it's not from fucking South, it's not Southern, it's not fucking anywhere.
Unplaceable, washed out blandness just spreads through the whole show.
It does. Can anyone tell me her husband's name?
Jeff Stoltz. His character. I have
Yeah,
no idea,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just like, oh, it's you, and you're gone.
And you're wasted in this part. Yeah. Like I also I watched the whole first episode and I'm like, what is the premise of this show? Like, she's a journalist who maybe committed a crime, maybe didn't, but it doesn't matter because she lost her whole career over it.
This show doesn't have the balls to actually have her be a criminal. She's falsely
No,
accused.
and when they pulled her away, I thought it was because like her mom was going to be dead because they raised that specter and then they
Yeah.
don't do anything with it.
No.
And then we've got like the new kid, like this super rich like woke millennial whatever that like Gen Zer that runs her new job, the blog she's
Yeah.
at.
How
Yeah.
dare they waste Mindy Kaling's time?
Like they don't introduce any of these people really well, and so like
That-
by the
that's-
time we got to Tony, the actual maybe misaccused
yeah. Yeah.
victim in jail, I was like, I know I'm supposed to care about this. This is the woman who committed the crime at the center of the show, I think, and I couldn't tell you what the fuck I'm supposed to give it.
So I will say that actress and her part in her 5 minutes on screen is usually really good,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't see much of her.
Mm-mm.
Also, Tia Sircar is a delight, and she came out from The Good Place, and she's wasted here too. She's her buddy at work.
That's why I recognize her. Okay.
Yeah, that's she's in The Good Place.
And for me, it just screamed that Kate Beckinsale, the Jolt franchise she was trying to start up in place of the Underworld franchise, didn't work out. So this was this was the fallback.
In the 2 episodes we watched, there was one thing I liked, and that was low rent Dominic Moynihan. I don't know who the actor, which I swear to God, that's who I thought it was at first.
Nope, I know. Yeah, because I know I've seen that Joe Dirt looking motherfucker before.
As like the meth head brother.
Oh, it's so
weirdo.
good. He's so good.
He was a delight.
Oh yeah, that's my dragon from Komodo.
This is my entertainment dojo. Them katanas is ceremonial.
That dude, I don't know what acting coach he has, but whoever taught him the delivery of "That's what's up," that was funny every time
God,
he did it.
That's what's up.
Every time.
Well, the time when he's explaining that the Komodo dragon will kill anybody who's menstruating near him,
Yes.
and then looks over at Kate Beckinsale and says, "You still
You
bleed?"
still bleed?
And she says, "Yeah."
He says, "That's what's up."
His response, oh my God, his like, "That's what's up." That I had to pause. It was like, that is 1,000% better than anything else in this show. It is from another show entirely.
What a bright spot! What an oasis in the desert of this show of just like, oh, I'm so glad you're here.
It made me want to go watch Claws. Like it immediately was just like, oh shit, there's better shows than this. Where's my Courtney Cox Dirt? Like
this is not a show anyone should watch, but you should go and watch the second episode just to see that guy because it's
opens
hilarious.
with that dipshit. Yeah, I will say the opening of the first was a great true crime opening killer.
Yes, that
fucking opening sequence.
Yeah,
it to open with that strong an image and then to end on her knocking on the door of a person who we don't really know, and so there's no stakes quite there.
Yeah,
I was like, that's a weak final image to have opened with that strong of a murder.
I agree. Yeah, I may watch a third episode just to see, because like I feel about this the way I felt about The Flight Attendant, where I'm like, this should work, but I don't care. And everybody tells me The Flight Attendant got good, and maybe this will too. But yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, I like this. I mean, I like The Flight Attendant. I didn't finish it, and I'm not going to finish this, but I did like The Flight Attendant more. I watched at least a third episode.
Yeah, I don't even think this should work. I'm going to be going like this journalist or someone discovers a person that like is falsely accused is so done and it has been overdone, and like if it's not a comedy, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
So what I would rather watch is a premise style thing where the only other compelling character for me was her super rival other journalist that appears to have no ethics and is just kicking her ass.
Mm-hmm.
and I would love to watch that woman and the redneck brother. like watch her and the woke blog owner try to make him into a legit national story that doesn't blow himself up.
Also feels pretty preachy about journalism.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Because there's no real journalist. I'm like, I bet you were a shitty journalist too.
Yep.
Because seriously, the moment you started this, you didn't do any research before going after this chick. Like you seem like you're terrible at this.
When they bring it up to the I know they're fucking with it. When they bring it up to the table of like, kind of sounds a little white saviory. You want to go, but you want to go save this black woman out of jail. I mean, you hear how it sounds, right? And then I love Kate Beckinsale, and it's a little bit like the premise. Like Kate Beckinsale's caught in an awkward moment of like, but I want to help her get out of prison. Can I not? Because I'm
Yeah.
like, well, if
Yeah.
she was white, would you still care? Like, if she was white, she wouldn't be in prison.
Yeah.
That was actually a good line.
Yeah,
That was, I mean,
good
there
point.
Fair point. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I wish that the show's got, and I mean, Kate Beckinsale's a perfectly fine actress. Like,
Yep.
there's good people here. It's just like, Dockers are also pants that are, well made, I guess.
Yeah.
But they're not. This is not exciting, and it should
Yeah.
be, and it
Yeah.
needs to be. Something needs to fucking happen that I care
I
about.
don't know. Maybe the last couple of years has soured me on journalists and they're fucking like, oh God, we're so important, and like, how dare you insult my integrity? And I'm like, I don't know if there's any good journalists left, but maybe that's just me being cynical.
X-Men!
All right, let's jump over and talk about Star Trek Lower Decks, which had its season 2 finale this week.
Lower D.
And let's talk about this as a season overall. I think, I thought Lower Decks got good over season 1. By the end, I was very much into it. But season 2, I think, just knocked it out of the park and kept getting better.
Every time.
Strong.
Yeah, they know what they're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have a friend who does not like, he watched all of season 1, did not plug into it. These sort of Rick and Morty sense of humor does not do it for him. And even though he's a huge Star Trek fan, he doesn't watch it. He is the outlier. Everyone else I know loves this show, whether you're a diehard Trekker or you're someone who like me, who like knows Trek a little bit, but I don't know the inside jokes. I've never watched most of the original series, but this feels like Star Trek in a way that very few things do.
I don't know. For me, thank God this series takes place during TNG. Otherwise, I would have no fucking idea what's going on.
I was worried when when they announced it that it, based on how the animation looked and stuff, that it was going to be real Family Guy.
Yeah.
That it was going to skewer and make fun, I was going to end up watching a Star Trek that outright mocked Trek nerds, basically,
Yeah.
And instead I got a show that doesn't just dig for the deep cuts. I feel like finds a lot of humor in the tension of being goody two shoes, like being that like they unapologetically love climbing through Jeffers tubes and doing their jobs and like exploring planets. And
They
that's
love
why
the
we all
warp
got,
core.
like, they're all aspirational like nerds for this shit, and that's why they're on this ship. And it leaned when I realized across season 1 that they were absolutely going to lean into that. They weren't scared of showing that, and they gained my trust. And then season 2 has just been deep cut after deep cut, where I've had to Google something after each episode of like, I know that's a callback. I could tell it was. It's like, but I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I really liked the overall story with Beckett and her mom, and Boimler coming back out of the Cerritos and kind of like getting his groove back. And even the fucking Jennifer thing from the first episode comes back in the finale for out of nowhere. Like, oh, thanks, Jen. Although, where was the Vulcan chick? I thought she was getting transferred to the Cerritos.
I guess that's next season. I guess she hasn't made the transfer yet.
Damn, because I was looking forward to that. She made me laugh hard. She was like this.
Oh yeah, Vulcan Boimler's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Live long and prosper, sir.
Oh God, the Klingon lower deck, them being
that was
whatever,
so good.
Die cowardly and be like whatever they're making fun of Vulcans.
Hey, save a seat for me at lunch. Unless I die a glorious death in combat, then you can give it to somebody else.
I thought it was ballsy of them to make the Pockleds the big bad of this season, but it kind of works. Like, they're doofy, but they make them dangerous enough.
It works because they're a threat, but also you believe that these dumbasses on the Cerritos can take care of these guys too. Like, they're so fucking stupid.
Like, you have to actually keep an eye on them because they really are like they could be dangerous, but at the same time, like, Pockleds.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
We tested the bomb.
Yeah. No, you only use it once. That's how a bomb works.
What do you mean you need another one? What did you blow up with the first one? Like, well, we tested it on a moon. But then it wouldn't work again.
So, the final episode is a very Star Trek-y thing. Basically, there's a mishap and a first contact gone wrong, and they have to like use science and ingenuity to save another ship at great risk themselves.
Mhm.
Like, it's a very cool Star Trek-y plot. Having them take all the protective plates off the Cerritos was very cool.
Yeah, we get to see naked naked Enterprise ship, you know, like
yeah.
I liked the fact that, you know, they hit the planet and they celebrate, and we get to see the captain all fucked up and drunk, like, oh, these
Yeah.
guys are great. And then the ending of it was very much their Lucretius of Borg or whatever, like, to be continued next season, like, son of a bitch. Because, like, I forget, what do they charge her with?
They charged her with detonating a Veruvian bomb on Pakled planet, which I think goes back to those Klingons.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
I think that there's going to be more about that's the other thing, is like, they're not just doing they're not doing just one-off episodes. They are telling a story.
No, because that Klingon chicken shit maneuvers and everything, like, that's, I don't think they're done with that.
Yeah. Well, the Pakleds, they were testing Veruvian bombs. They were getting them from the Klingons.
Mm-hmm.
Well, isn't it just as likely that the Pakleds detonated one on their own planet because they tested it out or something? Like, these guys, you can't leave them alone. Like, don't give them bombs or anything.
No, whatever. United Federation of Hold My Beer. Like, it's absolutely
Yeah.
You mean you threw a warp core into another warp core into a star? Why? I don't know.
I'm hungry. You should eat. You're smart.
I like that they've developed the Cerritos crew. They keep developing the Cerritos crew. Like, just as Discovery started off as not very ensemble-y, became more ensemble-y. This started out as an ensemble and is becoming a bigger ensemble in the same way that Deep Space Nine and Next Generation did, where it's like, slowly but surely, like, Chief O'Brien goes from having one line to having a wife and a backstory and being like the greatest engineer ever. Like, they're building up the other characters.
And then his name, Security Head, with his whole backstory of, like, you can't mention certain things to him because it triggers him. Like, he starts to
does yoga all the time. And,
he does that clay pottery thing, like, put it in the clay, man. Put it in the clay. And then, like, the cat doctor ordering that ancient artifact just for the box. And like, I like the fact that the officers, they show the officers are kind of like the fuck ups too, because it's not again, this show isn't about the fuck ups on the Enterprise. It's about the fuck ups on the knockoff of the Enterprise. Like,
right. They're a second contact ship.
They're a second contact team, which is also why I liked the training simulator, because it showed a bunch of things that happened on Next Generation and the original series, because that became standard procedure, because that was the first time, you know, Kirk or Picard dealt with those things, and now there's a procedure to follow for these things. Like, that's how they take out what's-his-face in the first one, by crushing him with a rock. Like, like, there's I like that they no matter what they run into, someone has already run into it before them.
Yeah.
They're never the first to anything.
How did Kirk deal with this? Dropped a rock on him. Oh, all right.
X-Men! All right, guys. Well, Ted Lasso's over. What If is over. So we had to find a new show for dessert. And unfortunately, we found there was only just one opening left in the bowl. I'm going to keep torturing this metaphor. And we want to talk about Only Murders in the Building, which I think we talked about a little bit, but we haven't really been talking about week to week. And this is definitely a show that we could have talked about week to week.
Yes.
Because, man, this is definitely in my top 5, maybe top 3 of the year. Like, it was so good.
I enjoyed this so much more than I thought.
It got to that point where they did the Deaf Kid episode, where they was all like a silent episode.
Oh, that was beautiful.
And I was like, oh, God, you guys are good.
Yeah, following a different person each narrator, kind of each episode.
And then, like, what was it? The episode where it was the fans of the podcast.
God.
So that raises a question that Megan wanted me to ask us all. What are the fans, if we had fans for the TV Dudes, what would our personal stands be? She suggested that someone who was a fan of mine would be Randy for Randy.
Sure.
I suggest for less fans that they are less is more.
I was going to say less holes.
Less holes, that's good. And of course, it'd be those who pick Nick picks.
Nick picks, I like it.
Send me those Nick
Or
pics.
picnics.
Oh boy.
Or are they picnics?
To unsolicited Nick pics.
It's unsolicited Nick pics.
Unsolicited Nick pics.
That's our new segment each week where Nick tells us a show that none of us want to watch.
I'm gonna go to the copyright office because this is pretty good stuff right here. Unsolicited Nick pics is the new name of my ska band.
So yeah, the fans and having them basically join them in the investigation was super fun. The boy from 6B episode 7 that was all silent was really impressive. And also I loved how they kept getting me. Like they did the whole thing where it's like Teddy and Theo, and I thought they'd spoiled me with the previously on. I'm like, oh shit, you basically just told me that Theo and Teddy did it. Like, fuck you for I now I figured it all out, and I realized, oh wait, you didn't. You were just fucking with me.
Yeah.
There's so many shows that are frustratingly coy with their season finale.
Yeah.
And I actually my brain had a like break moment when I realized that they were actually going to fucking solve this, like, and tell me who did it.
Yeah.
And
in
that,
fact,
like, whatever they do in season 2 will be different.
She tells us.
Yes.
She tells us.
That was wonderful.
It was
I love Amy
so
Ryan
good.
so much.
I love Amy Ryan. I was sad that she turned out to be a psychopath, but also she played it so well.
She's so good. She's so happy about getting to be
also called it. Who called it?
Yeah.
I did. I knew that bassoon player was up to no good.
You really had a read on her.
I liked Steve Martin was like all cool, like, oh, I've been stage sipping, and then only to get fucked up by the handkerchief afterwards. Like, damn it.
The elevator game of them like back and forth, it was perfect.
Steve Martin here, he was drawing on the same skills he drew on when he played Ruprecht in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Or All of Me.
Yes, or All of Me. The bit where he's telling her, oh, I've been taking stage ships, and he gets to be the cool Brazos guy, and then he starts slurring his words, and you're like, wait, what happened?
My safe word is Brazos.
When he's up at the board and
and then the big speech at the end where he gets up and he's telling the whole thing, and I knew
you knew it was coming, but still,
and it still cracked me up.
Yeah,
it cuts back to him just gibbering away, and they're all staring at him. Oh man, it was so good. I was dying. Also, Martin Short's like crazy frenetic energy was great throughout this.
Oh man, it's the best thing I've seen him in years. I mean, he turns up in a lot of stuff. And
what was the pun they made? Like Steve Martin said something about Splash, like you guys, but it was like Steve Martin was like, "That's mean." A good callback, but mean. Like he appreciates the structure of it.
Yeah.
So I was absolutely unprepared for Zaz Bataki.
Oh my god. Yeah, having Jane Lynch is always great, and having her play. There's little subtle bits of things that they do, and there's throughout this that there's subtle things. But whenever you cut to her and she's wearing the same outfit as Charles, and you know that's just what she does.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
she's like when she's around him,
she shows up out of the blue and knocks on the door and is already in the right clothes.
Already in the outfit.
Yeah.
That's what's weird about it.
Yeah.
Like, so you've been watching him, and oh, it's so good. The Martin Short's reaction when he walks in and just stops in the hallway and is like, I don't know what work you've had done, but it's too much. And that is not the first reaction that you want people to have.
Well, everyone is afraid because everyone sees her first and then Steve Martin like, oh God.
Yes. Oh God.
They just...
And, my hip movements are unnatural. She doubled for me in sex scene.
Because it is funny because, like, when you say, like, she doesn't look that much like Steve Martin, but then you look at her from the side or from the back and it's like, I can't tell. Like,
okay. It's so good.
Don't ask me to shoot one of these people, like one of the imposters, because I think I might fuck it up.
And that she's just like the cool
stole his girlfriend
version of that Steve Martin wishes he could be.
Yes. Yeah. I like that as it unfolded, like the whole jewelry thing that unfolded. Mm-hmm. Like the story, the structure of this is like it's a perfect murder mystery, but it's also an exploration of sort of podcasting and sort of making fun of that. And yet it's also like the emotional beats are there. Like I really liked when Charles reached out to Lucy at the end. I really liked that. And the friendship that developed between the three of them is really good. And we don't talk about Selena Gomez really just killed it here. She's so good.
Some great deadpan performance from her.
She really holds her own next to those two and Nathan Lane. And also I really believe the three of them grudgingly learning to admit that they do really like each other and are
Yeah.
friends and count
Yeah.
on each other. Even to the point that Amy Ryan, who's the freaking villain, is like, but you should keep doing the podcast. I mean, you really do like them. And like,
Yeah. Yeah. So as I'm watching this, I watch a lot of TV. I don't always remember the flash forwards and stuff, but as we're closing in on the end, Megan says something to me about, well, wait a minute, what about the thing we saw at the very beginning, which I'd forgotten about entirely.
Yeah, Selena Gomez says, I don't know, it feels like something isn't all tied up. And I was like, yeah, because you're forgetting that one scene we saw in the preview where you fucking are over a dead body.
I totally forgot. That's in episode 1. I totally forgot about that. And so I like the way they did it. Basically, they had a fake out of like it was tie-dye guy and she had murdered him, but of course it is not tie-dye guy.
no, funny.
And it's funny, and because the tie-dye shirts are also their merch, which is
It's
a great
just
little bit.
great.
Yep.
And I love that they just set up that Bunny's the most hated person in the building. Like,
Yep. And also Tina Fey's only murderers in the building, which we also saw previewed previous episode.
I wrote that.
Oh, that's good. I came up with that. If you say anything different, I will fucking destroy you. You will walk around NPR fucking break rooms there in the rest of your life.
You'll be filling LaCroix and NPR for mini fridges for the rest of your career.
Yeah. I can't wait for season 2. I'm glad they got a season 2.
Oh,
this is one of those things where it's a fantastic season 1. If they had not done the other setup, I'd be perfectly happy with it.
Yep.
But I am curious to see what they're going to do with the second season.
Yeah, this is one of the rare times where I didn't know they had a season 2. They could have just not done that and sailed off into the sunset. And when it happened, and I went, "Oh yay! I get to see whatever." Like, that's a great sign.
Yep.
Your team is rocking on all cylinders when I want to see whatever the fuck you're going to do next.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe Sting will be the killer in the next one.
I think he's going to beat Sting.
What if Sting is the savior? Sting is the guy who gets them out.
Okay, I could see that too.
All right, well, that's our podcast for the week. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Les.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, dudes.
Thank you to our listeners and our patrons. Reminder, you can go over to patreon.com/tvdudes, throw us a buck an episode, listen to hours upon hours of content as we talk about other things. And until that time,
TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.